Hi there, it's Gemma here, a story and song, and I am here today to talk to you about my June wrap up. So all in all, in the month of June I read 13 books. I finished the last book of June last night. I know I've still got one more reading day essentially left. I'm filming this on the 30th of June, but I'm not in the mood today, so I thought I'll film my video, I'll edit it and I'll get it up, and I might do some reading tonight, but there's no way I'm going to fit anything else in for June, so I might as well just go ahead and film this wrap up. The first book I read this month was My Only Sunshine by, let me just see, M.J. Fleming, and this was on the recommendation of Murphy Napier. It's about a girl called Jordan who was kidnapped and assaulted when she was younger. She was held captive for a month before escaping, and she's now in her sort of last years at high school. She's looking to try and get her life back on track and sort of get back to normal, whatever normal for her means. She's just met a new boy, she's getting back in touch with all her friends, and she's trying to live a normal life as best she can. So, as I say, this book picks up several years after the assault, and she is now back at school. She is also in touch with her father's best friend, who is the other point of view character in the book, and he is investigating a more recent kidnapping that he thinks may be linked to Jordan's years before. So I gave this book 4 stars and I really enjoyed it. As I say, I read it on the recommendation of Murphy Napier, who did the audiobook. She had mentioned it in one of her videos, and it was a really good thriller. I did sort of see the twist coming. I've read a lot of thrillers, so I wasn't too surprised about that, but still it had a very satisfying conclusion and I would highly recommend it. The next book I read in the month of June was The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. I'm also going to throw this bone to my dog because he's standing there. So I read Broken Girls, and this started off what seemed to become a theme for the month, which is people's dead sisters. Unfortunately, it came up in 3 or 4 of the books that I read this month. So it follows 2 different time periods connected with an old school building, one in which the school is still in use as a boarding school, and the other many years later when a girl's sister's body has been found on the campus and she is investigating what's happened because she doesn't think the right person was put in prison. So I did enjoy how the 2 time periods connected. I thought it was a good story. As I say, I gave it 4 stars. It was a good thriller. I wouldn't read it again, obviously, because once you've read a thriller, you know what happens, that's it. But I thought it was good. I would recommend it if you like thrillers. Finn is just insatiable for attention today. If I had him in his bed, he would be whining. So it's throw the ball and film the video. Not the ball, the bone. So the next book I read was The Scorecard Killer, The Life of Randy Stephen Kraft, and that was by Jack Smith. Now, that was a true crime book. I gave it 3 stars. It didn't really go into a lot of detail that I wasn't already aware of. Randy Stephen Kraft was one of, I think, 3 serial killers all operating at the same time on the same stretch of freeway. And this was in the 70s, which was sort of a really bad period for serial killers. So it went into quite a bit of detail. If you like true crime, if you're interested in that era, it's quite worrying how they managed to actually catch some of these people, because, you know, they didn't have any real forensic evidence. A lot of it was luck, and these guys might have gone on killing for, you know, a long time to come if they hadn't just been caught randomly. So it wouldn't switch anyone new over to the genre. It's not classic or anything, but, you know, it was pretty solid. And then I read, Finn's mad at me for pausing a second, The Rose and the Dagger. And then I read The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh, which is the sequel to The Wrath and the Dawn. I gave that 4 stars. Now, I really did enjoy that conclusion. I really loved the love story between Shazzy and Khalid, and I thought everything was wrapped up pretty well. I took a star off for things being wrapped up probably a bit too neatly for my tastes, but I'm not going to complain about a happy ending, and I'm really looking forward to Renee Ahdieh's next book, which is, I think, a vampire book. So that sounds good. I like the way she writes romance, so I think I'll like her vampire book as well. And then I read, this is a tome, I read Outsider by Stephen King, and I gave this 4 stars as well. And the reason that I took a star off was because the first half, really tense, really enjoyed it, really disturbing, taut, good stuff. Second half kind of dissolved into something I think happens quite a lot with Stephen King, which is he kind of tends to stick the ending a little bit, and you're kind of like, right, okay, I saw that one coming because it's Stephen King, okay, you know, and I sort of got hair there, and I think that's a problem that happens quite a lot with Stephen King, so not unexpected, but really good first half, trigger warnings for paedophilia, for child murder and things like that, obviously. And I would say, you know, if you like Stephen King, if you like thrillers, you'll probably like this. If you don't like Stephen King, it's not going to win anybody new over. And then I read Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor, which I gave 3 stars. Now, this is probably an unpopular opinion. I can't get into Laini Taylor the way that everyone else seems to. Her writing goes too slowly for me, and while I appreciate character development, I really do, the insta-love bothers me, they go on and on and on and on, and then all the action seems to happen in the last like 50 pages. So, but I did go on to read Dreams of God and Monsters because I'm a completionist, and I gave this 4 stars because objectively it is a good book, it's just not for me. I think the main thing that bothered me was one of the main plot points that came along at the end was sort of only really came up in the last book, and it was sort of like, here is a major plot thing, and you know, it's totally relevant, but it's just in the last bit. It was the same problem that I found actually with Muse of Nightmares, and I think something with the way she writes angels, it's very hard to write angels, I think, and I don't know, I can't do it. I really objectively see that she's a good writer, but it's a slog for me, so I'll probably keep on trying reading her books, but you know, I just don't know if she's for me, and I'm probably going to unhaul my Laini Taylor books quite soon, I think. Leave it then. You can't see this in the shop, but I'm actually throwing this bone for a massive ass golden retriever, so that's why I'm kind of shaking like this, because I'm playing tug of war as well at the same time. So the next book I read was Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, and that was because Chandler Ainsley said it was good. It's a new adult romance about a girl called Jordan her and her boyfriend move in with her boyfriend's dad, and she starts to fall for him. There's a lot of smut, it's a new adult romance. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think the age difference could be a bit problematic, but I don't know, it's a new adult romance. I haven't really read that many of them, but from what I hear, it's quite common to find problematic things in them. I really liked it. I liked the way it ended, and yeah, it was good for £3. I think I bought it for £3 on my Kindle, so I can't really complain. And I gave that 4 stars. And then I read The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker, and that is a horror novella, and it is the horror novella on which the film Hellraiser is based. Have I seen Hellraiser? Have a hell, because I am a total nerd. I'm a baby when it comes to being scared, and I don't watch horror films. However, I do read horror. I don't mind horror and gore and things in books, but I can't watch it in movies. I don't think I've ever. I watched Nightmare on Elm Street when I was about 9 or 10 with some of my friends, and I thought Freddy Krueger was coming to get me for months afterwards, so I'll skip that experience, thanks. So I gave that 3 stars. I thought it was okay. It was a scary story, it was spooky. I'll probably read some more Clive Barker. I watched a Lost in Adaptation on Nightbreed, which is what made me want to pick some Clive Barker up. I'll link that in the description below. And I thought it might be a good book for me to watch. I probably still will not, however, watch the movie. So, the next book I read was Saw Kill Girls, which I gave 5 stars, and I loved it. I absolutely loved Saw Kill Girls. I had heard about it from a couple of different people, I went into it knowing, however, mainly nothing about the characters or anything like that, and I was absolutely swept away. I made a video about it, like a gush, which I'll link up in the cards, and I would thoroughly recommend it. It also, however, goes along with the Dead Sister theme, not spoiling anything because it happens within the first like few chapters of the book, and it's foreshadowed from way off. But I think with these books and another couple that I'll talk about, I would be really annoyed if it wasn't by a female author. And that goes, I gave that 5 stars, by the way, in case you didn't know. I think I said that already. And then I read The Female of the Species by Mindy McGuinness, which I gave 4 stars. Again, there's a dead sister. And there is also a sister left behind who has actually murdered the man who killed her sister. It's at the very beginning of the book. It's the first thing basically we learn about Alex, and it follows her life afterwards and about the violence. It's about the violence that she feels internally and how she feels protective over other girls and women and children. And I think it touches on a lot of things that, you know, maybe we all feel sometimes when we hear about something terrible like that happen, when we are touched by rape culture. And I think we've all probably been touched at some point by rape culture, and we feel that protectiveness towards other women and girls who have been victimised. And I think we've all daydreamed about doing what Alex does. So I think it was a really important book. I gave it 4 stars because I didn't like the ending. But that's personal preference. I still would highly recommend it. I also read Sadie, which follows in the Dead Sisters Club, and that's by Courtney Summers. I gave Sadie 5 stars. Sadie is split between 2 points of view. Sadie's point of view herself, as she is chasing the man who killed her sister, and also the podcaster who is following in Sadie's footsteps, and he is talking to the people in Sadie's life as he sort of trails along behind her. And you do obviously hope throughout the book that he catches up to her before the sort of final showdown, but I wouldn't spoil what happens in it. It's a book that also does really well in the audiobook. It's a full cast audiobook, and I would recommend it. I read about 3/4 of the book on about half the book on audiobook, and then I got a physical copy because I am just an impatient bitch, and it's so slow. I read so much quicker than the audiobook goes, so I get kind of like, oh, come on. But I gave Sadie 5 stars, and again, trigger warnings apply for, you know, paedophilia, for rape culture, all that kind of thing. But again, I really loved this book, and I think it was a total theme of this month that I went through, where my husband was kind of like, are you in a sort of fuck the patriarchy kind of mood? And I was like, yes I am. And then I read another book which has trigger warnings for paedophilia, which was The Fact of a Body by Alexandria Marzano-Lesnevich, which I will put here. And this was part memoir and part legal sort of drama, following the author's life as a child. She was abused by her grandfather, and there was problems in her family, you know, about and because of that. And also a man who murdered a young boy, a case that she kept track of. So I gave this one 3 stars, mainly because I just didn't find it very gripping. There wasn't anything wrong with it. I thought the pacing was a little bit slow. I will admit it was a bit slow for me, but you know, it was a good memoir. It was a bit more literary than I normally go for, but still enjoyed it. The last book I read this month, which is The Poppy War by R.F. Huang. It is a fantasy story set in a fictional empire called Nicara, which is based quite heavily on Chinese history, and it has references to certain things that happened during the Japanese occupation of China in Nanking. Again, it's a very heavy book. It has a female protagonist. It's got violence, it's got sexual assault. I read this for the Orc Grove prompt for the bookie trials. I would definitely say it fulfills this prompt, and it's also a bit of a chunker. Did really enjoy it. Again, I gave it 4 stars, and again, that was just for the pacing of the thing. I felt like it was a sort of race at the end, so I will definitely continue on with the series, but I'm hoping that the pacing's a bit more even in the next one. So that's everything that I read in the month of June. I have the bookie trials, which I have already started because the Magi team gets to start early. So my next book will be The Drowning Deep by Shay Earnshaw. I'm going to start that today. And also I am probably going to start watching season 2 of Happy with my husband. We both found it really funny. It's got Christopher Maloney in it and it's just a bit zany, so we'll probably start watching that. But other than that, let me know down below what books you've enjoyed this month. Link me to your June wrap-ups or any other videos you think that I should watch. As usual, you can find my details below. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Goodreads, all that kind of good stuff, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.